We back, guys, for another Hero's Journey YouTube live stream. And in this Hero's Journey YouTube live stream, we are dissecting, checking out, analyzing maybe my newest fave Black Mirror episode. And if you haven't seen the background of the thumbnail, don't sleep on this thing. This episode 2 was freaking bonkers. Now, this is a spoiler alert. There will be spoilers here. And if you want to check out my episode 1 review, click down below. I'll put the link there. And episode 1 definitely started off Black Mirror season 7 on an amazing, amazing banger feat. And I thought right away, all right, episode 1 is amazing. I don't think episode 2 is going to be able to beat this. Um, but, you know, I don't think that this was past Travis was like, all right, episode 1's great. They did it. This is the best episode of the season. Well, then I watched episode 2 and I was like, okay, wowzers. So episode 2 of Black Mirror, it's called Beta Noire. Beta Noire. Um, and let's start from the beginning. So I'm gonna shout out my boy here, and let me just share this. Let me just show you the scene I'm looking at here, because this is, I guess, spoiler alert, and this is the last. So how are we gonna end up here? I mean, this is insanity, right? Are we gonna watch like a fantasy show? What is this? Um, maybe, maybe, but let's see. If you didn't believe in parallel universes before this, now you're gonna. So, really, what's going on in this episode is, let me just get this teed up here. All right, so we got to shout out my boy Movie Vibes. So Movie Vibes, fair use. You're using fair use. I'm using fair use. I'm just using fair use to have pictures of the movie because the Netflix did not want me to use pictures from the movie. So this universe, because each Black Mirror kind of has its own universe, so you have to kind of explain each one. Now in this universe, what's going on is this is our protagonist. I forget her actual name in the show, but here is she. So, and she works at a like food company that makes food, makes treats, makes desserts, etc. So it's a pretty normal world. She has a normal life. She's got a pretty bigwig job at the company as kind of the head chef, head creator of this food, well respected, etc. Um, and then one day, her world, her perfect world, is flipped upside down by this girl, Verity Green. Now, let me tell you, I haven't seen an actress or actor steal scenes like my girl here. This girl is like if you took T-1000 from Terminator and mixed him with Patrick Bateman. Her mannerisms and just how she is in the show is like unbelievable. Like it's kind of like the movie Orphan, where you're like, how am I scared of a little orphan girl? This actress was in a similar vein, whereas like, all right, I can't put my finger on it, but something is scary about her. And as the episode rolls on, you realize, yeah, there is something going on. And I thought it was actually going to go one way, and then it went a different way. So it was pretty cool how they took it, because I thought at first they were going to maybe go a certain way. And I'll explain this scene actually right here that I'm showing in my background right now is a pretty pivotal scene. It's kind of like going from, I guess it's kind of like going from Act 1 to Act 2, because her world's about to get flipped upside down, and this is the scene that like really flips it. It's like kind of right in the middle. Plot point after 2 probably. But so what happens is really the this girl, Verity Green, which is like a awesome name. It's like Patrick Bateman. It's a name for the ages. She randomly shows up at our main protagonist's job out of nowhere, and she's like, "Wait, I went to school with that girl." So they went to college together. Um, that's kind of their history. You think at first, like, okay, like what's bad about that? These two characters went to college together, and they kind of seem to get along, you know. But then when you start realizing is that she's cuckoo for Cuckoo Puffs. That's pretty much what's going on. Now you're kinda like, why is she crazy? The show doesn't really hide, like, that something's up with her. Right at the beginning, the way they're shooting her, the way she's staring, they're making the audience realize, like, something's going on here, but they don't reveal it at all right away. Until they start kinda having the 2 the 2 communicate more so, and with their boss, etcetera, about what really is, like, going on, why this new girl might be here, why is there some random girl from her high school or college here now? Oh, no, it's high school. Here now? And pretty much she figures out that, like, you figure out in the show that this girl was, like, a super nerd in high school. She was, like, top of the class nerd-wise, but didn't really fit in, so got bullied, etcetera. Had one main rumor about her and a teacher that essentially ruined her life. So this girl's life was ruined in school by bullies and just by being like a super smart kid. So you kind of have some compassion for her because this girl was part of the cool girl club, and Verity Green is was kind of like a nerd and got picked on. So it's kind of easy to see what was happening from there. Like, all right, our main actress, she's in the cool club. Verity Green was in the nerdy, not cool club. Now they don't go into like if our main actress was bullying her mainly or not, but it's kind of implied that even though she says she wasn't really, you're like, all right, you probably were like in the cool club or something. Okay. So fast forward a little bit, and Verity Green essentially gets this job that didn't exist at first, and then randomly it exists. And our main character is like, how does this job exist? Like, I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile and you work in travel and you have nothing to do with this or anything. And Verity explains that, oh no, there is a job. Like, you're wrong. I'm here. And this is where the show starts to bring up like some issues of like gaslighting essentially, where you start to think that because the Verity Green villain is, like, kinda making up stuff, and the other people are kinda believing it, and you don't really know what to believe, but she keeps saying it. So at first, I thought it was gonna be somewhat like a just, like, gaslighting 2.0, where she was gonna convince our protagonist and everyone that things are the way they are for this reason, and she's a new girl, she wouldn't be doing stuff that is bad or whatever, so as stuff starts to unfold and the episode continues, um, essentially, like, the Mandela effect is happening where, they talk about one thing where it's like she thought this chicken place was Bernie's, or it was Bernie, she thought it was Barney's, and that was one example where she was like, "No, I swear it was Barney's, like, my boyfriend has the hat, that's what it was called." Like, being really certain about it, kinda like when you think about something in the past and you're pretty certain. But then maybe they show you, like, I know there's the Berenstein Bears or the Barnstein Bears, or even like Chick-fil-A. I swear there used to not be a C there. It was like CHIK dash filet. Now there's a C in there. So our memories, at first I thought it was gonna be more about our memories kind of changing because we're persuaded so much by people in the media. So it's like our memories aren't as black and white as we remember them. Um, that's what I thought the show was gonna go with at first, and then actually it really started to change, and it really turned it on its head. And this is where, it's a little more evident that she was probably bullied, like just due to some of these scenes they show um at college and stuff. And then when she talks to her boyfriend, the boyfriend's kind of like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like this is you're kind of acting like pretty sus here. I think it's just the new girl who is just trying to fit in, etc. So, oh, sorry, one sec. So, like, he doesn't really know like why she's being so crazy because like it's just some girl that went to high school with her. Why is she so mad at this girl, this new girl? And then you kind of realize like she's she's mad because she knows something was going on back in the day, and there's some kind of guilty conscious thing happening where she's trying to figure out like why is she here? Like what's her goal here? And then she starts realizing as the show progresses that her goal is to pretty much ruin her life. Um there's a few scenes like this one in particular. Okay, so you can see this is a great shot because it really shows the dynamic what was going on. Where here is her back in the day, and then here's all the popular kids. So it's pretty obvious that you know it's like Mean Girls or something. It's not hard to see what was going on here, but you didn't really to know to what extent. So back to the present moment, and pretty much she's like just gaslighting her up. Like she's making up the bad guy, Verity, is making up all this stuff, saying it's true. Our protagonist is like, that's not true. But then Verity is like fact checking stuff, and it is true. Like she sent an email and then it said gelatin, not this other word. Pretty much it's making our protagonist look like a crazy person. Which, right, that's kind of what gaslighting is. It's making the person feel and think they're crazy, even though they think they're right. It's like cognitive dissonance. Um, Everyone's saying this thing's true, even though you swear to God the sky's blue. Everyone else says it's purple. You're looking at the blue sky, or like, oh, the sky's blue though. Like, I don't get it. The sky's blue. How is it purple? That's pretty much what's happening. So the first like half of the episode is kind of a big mind f, and you think it's like a psychological thing going on. Then like right when she kind of like really solidifies that she's kind of like gaslighting her, but then she's also like right a lot of times, like with the Bernstein thing, with the email. There's this milk scene where the everyone doesn't know who's drinking this girl's almond milk. Our protagonist is allergic to almond milk. She can't drink it. But then they watch the security tape, and our protagonist actually does drink the milk on tape. Like impossible stuff to recreate. And our protagonist the whole time is thinking somehow Verity is just like using computers and using AI, like somehow technologic technologically making this stuff seem like it's all true. But then one of the main other like kind of plot points down towards Act 3 is when a friend back in the scene in the high school, a friend actually ended herself recently because she went crazy. Similar to how our protagonist is slowly losing her mind. So when she realizes that her friend went cuckoo, we get I think the best scene, which I just said, but it's the best scene in the show because as she this is the milk scene where they're both alone and they're in this room where the milk had been getting drank all the time, no one who's drinking it. And when she walks up to her right here before she drinks the milk and then somehow gets the security camera to show our protagonist drinking, she like has this look of like Terminator slash Splice. That maybe Splice. She looks. This is where I thought she was an alien. Like she was just an alien shape shifting being of sorts who could like manipulate stuff and time and people and all that because so I thought she was like from another world alien girl. Um, so, but what's funny is they actually, spoiler alert, so maybe that's the case, maybe it's not. Keep watching to find out. But pretty much this is like the big turning point because she drinks almond milk. Our protagonist thinks, oh, well, we have you on, like, you just drink it, we have you on camera now. And then they watch the scene later, and it's our protagonist drinking the almond milk. Like, it's clear as day, it's on the security camera. So she's like, all right. So she's pretty much right here. She loses her mind. She loses her mind, and she flips out. And then, and this scene, she even explains that she has a nut allergy, so she can't drink almond milk because it's a nut. And this is where you start to notice that our girl here, oh, check. Our girl here, make sure my mic didn't just break. Check. Oh yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. So she has this little pendant thing. See if I can zoom in here. Oh wait, I can. Oh no. Yeah, so this little pendant thing that our girl, the bad guy, she kind of rubs and will say something aloud. So here she said, nut allergies don't exist, or no one really knows what a nut allergy is. And right after she rubs this little thing around her neck, everyone pretty much becomes under like a spell and thinks, oh, that doesn't exist. So right away you're like, all right, well, this is like some mythical creature being who can control mind and thoughts, and something's going on here. And our protagonist like realizes this right away. She's like, all right, this is crazy. So she loses her mind, kind of realizes here that this pendant thing is doing something. So she's like, I gotta get to the bottom of this. So she pretty much loses it. The boss is like, go home and relax. She calls her out right here. And this is where we get like a pretty slamming climax. This is where like really Black Mirrors, and it reminded me of Nosedive, which is probably my other favorite episode, where the climax builds up so much where it's like in the Black Mirror intro, it the mirror breaks because like it just breaks, like the reality breaks and you minds are lost. So she goes to this girl's house, and this girl actually lives in like a mega mansion. Let's see if I can find a shot of the mansion. I'm gonna watch 1 second of this. So she follows her home and then goes into her mega mansion. Like it's a celebrity rich mega mansion. Goes into the house and notices like on the walls and stuff, like this girl somehow is trying to get to this one. Like somehow is hanging out with Harry Styles right here. She's, on the cover of this thing. It's like, how is this happening right now? She's like a celebrity. There's one really good shot. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Brain Pilot, thank you. I'm gonna use your thing for 1 second here. So I'm trying to find that one last scene because it's so unbelievable. Even I can just find. Oh yeah, so when she walks in her house in the mansion, this part's cool. She also sees like, and I gotta shout out yeah, Brain Pilot. So go check out Brain Pilot's channel. He walks into the mansion, and one of the rooms is like this room of servers. And you're like, okay. And this is where it kind of starts to make a little more sense. You're like, all right, the bad guy is a mega mind genius, has like this server room. You're like, okay, there's something happening here. She's using like some kind of quantum mechanical device to somehow change worlds in reality. And you're like, all right, we're Black Mirroring it. We're Black Mirroring it. So she kind of realizes that this girl has kind of figured out some crazy reality shifting thing. And when she meets the last scene, I want to find the last scene, the actual last scene. Maybe this will be good enough. because it's really, really amazing. Let me see if this guy has it. Oh, it's brain pilot as well. Oh, floppy legs. I'm using all kinds of videos, guys. Sorry. Let's see. End scene. Last scene. Heavy spoilers. All right, geez, I'm using your video too. Sorry, guys. Oh yeah, here we go. So here we go. So as she's in her house, like walking around, one thing she notices is is this picture of the bad guy, like sitting some throne, eating grapes from these two guys. You're like, what is that? So this is where I was kind of like, oh, so maybe she is kind of like a god or some something not human. Um, but as you can see in my little background, that looks kind of a similar setup, eh? Eh? So she's walking in her house and she's seeing all these things that don't make like this girl's a celebrity, she's a princess, she's like king of the galaxy or something here. Um, and there's essentially like a final little showdown between the two in her bedroom. And she calls her out about the pendant thingy. She's like, somehow you're using that pendant to like mind control people or something. Like, how are you doing this? And essentially, she like villains it and tells her everything. And really, what the bad guy did, what this girl did, is pretty cool. So she pretty much built like a big quantum computer, has this little remote, and essentially speaks into the quantum computer. And it's pretty much the string theory of parallel universes. And so pretend every single action has a reaction, and every single moment creates a new moment, and it's a spider web strings of universes. And our bad guy used her incredible genius brain to make a big computer system that lets her at any moment kind of say or do something that brings the whole world into a parallel universe. So pretty much this episode is all about parallel universes. And this girl figured out how to access them all. Every single parallel universe she can get into. So she can create the universe just with her little remote and her quantum computers where there is no nut allergies. She can create a universe where she is the empress of the universe. She can create a universe where this person does exist. It is the Berenstain Bears. Nelson Mandela came out of jail, didn't come out of jail. Kind of like the Mandela effect in reality, and someone can control it. Gaslighting on steroids, but it's extremely real because there's one scene where she's like, all right, pretend you're French, clicks the pennant, the girl speaks French, pretend we're in like some ice place, clicks it, they're in like an ice place, pretend we're, and like, so at any moment she can say into the remote what she wants or wants people to believe, and it will happen in real time right there. So our protagonist, the good guy, remember, Black Mirror, when you of bleeding the lines of what's good and bad, what's right and wrong. So pretty much the cops come, they're about to arrest our protagonist and take her to jail, etc. The last moment shenanigans, she's able to get the gun from the bad guy. Right when the cops are about to arrest her, she gets the gun, shoots the bad guy in the face, kills our girl right here. So our girl in my screen right now gets killed. Gets killed. The cops are about to attack her. The protagonist somehow grabs the pendant off the girl's neck, and right away is like, "You guys aren't here to arrest me." And then right away, the two cops are like, "We're not here to arrest you." And then she's like, "She actually did this. I'm innocent." And they're like, "You're innocent." And then she's like, "You guys hail to me. Like, we hail to you. You're in charge." And it's funny because before I just finish it off here, during the beginning of the episode, our protagonist kind of had an issue with wanting to be in control, wanting to be in charge, liking her position at this company, kind of wanting, and even the boyfriend makes a joke like, you just want everyone to S your own D. Like, you want to be in charge. You like when you're in charge. You like the attention. You like getting your way, etc. So it's kind of foreshadowing the decision she makes at the end to ultimately become the empress of the universe, the empress of the world. Because she asked the main girl, she asked her, like, so what did you do? Like, what stuff did you do? And the bad guy said, yeah, I did become the emperor of the world, and it got boring. I've done everything, I've been everything, everything got boring. So she pretty much went back to being like a normal life. But what's funny is that what happens is, like, you think like ultimate power corrupts, ultimately or whatever, is our main actress right away skips any of the other steps, and right away, when the cops are in the room in the last scene, says, I'm the empress of the world. And boom, it cuts to like this sick shot that my thumbnail is. And she's just standing here, and there's this huge crowd bowing to her. And then she has this little moment of just like pure amazingness. So she went from this, like being on her last leg, and this girl telling her that just having everything in the world isn't all it's cracked up to be, to her not being able to take that as an answer, and to ultimately like becoming the god of the world. And you can tell like by her face at the end, she's like, yes, let's do this. So, and that is the last scene. It actually like fades out with her just standing in front of this giant world of people just obsessed with her. And it was one of those endings where I was like, that's a Black Mirror ending. That's a slamming, perfect, picture perfect Black Mirror ending. Where really the good guy the whole time, she was the bad guy. And really, this girl wasn't necessarily good or bad. I mean, she was, someone who was pushed too far and had to get revenge. It's like bullying really messes people up. And so really this episode was about what happens when people get bullied, why they take revenge in ways that you would think is too much. And then don't think that like you're any different than someone in terms of what you would do and that you're high and mighty. Um, but more importantly, I think this episode does a really good job of kind of showing like what the whole right now gaslighting is a kind of a popular phrase, but this one like really went from you thinking that's what it was to really flipping it on its Black Mirror head and being more about alternate realities and a, a god like figure who figured it out, pretty much figured out time travel, alternate universes in a split second, and made that reality and used it to her advantage as opposed to helping the world or anything. Just selfishly used it to her advantage. And then our protagonist, you think, oh, maybe she's gonna like make the world better. No, did the same thing and just became god of the world. So it really goes to show that like, we're not all high and mighty. It's nice to be, king of the world, like in Titanic. And it's easy to say that we wouldn't do this. We go the holy route. We would help, but who knows? Who knows that like this power is so unbelievable that it's actually insane. It's insanity. So, all right, guys. That has wrapped up episode 2, which is probably my new favorite episode besides the Miley Cyrus episode and the Nosedive episode. So go binge Black Mirror if you want. Hit subscribe, smash like on your way out. Thanks for watching. Until next time, we out of here. Peace.